Um, so tonight's topic, ladies and gentlemen, and coach, is staying fit and well during the holidays. Enjoy without overindulgence. So I'm going to start by saying that the holidays are coming up. It's Today is December the 10th, 2024, and whether or not you're going to participate in the holidays or whether or not you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever it is you celebrate or don't celebrate, at some point we are still going to be surrounded by certain things that go on, and sometimes we are going to take advantage of certain things. Like some of us who work in the school system, we're going to have a couple of weeks off. Other people are going to have vacation time. People are going to be having get-togethers and hanging out and enjoying family and different things like that. So when we're talking tonight and we're talking about staying fit and well, we're not just talking about the physical body. I also want to talk about the well part, the mental part of this too. You know what I mean? Because the holidays can also be a hard time for people. You know, for some people, this is going to be the first time without grandma, without big mama, without dad or without an uncle or somebody like that. And usually, these are times of joy, but for some people, it's going to be a hard time. So we're not going to just talk about the fitness or the physical body of this. We're also going to start talking about the mental part of this, and the overall wellness of your mental health and just your overall well-being during this holiday season. So again, like I said, whether you participate or not, you are surrounded by it, and you is kind of hard to not be not necessarily affected by it, but unless you stay inside the house and don't turn on the TV, you know what I mean? You won't know that there's a holiday going on right now, the holiday season. So,
I kind of started a poll in the chat. If you're on
oh,
YouTube, I started a poll in the chat. So the poll kind of gets after what you're talking about because I'm just kind of curious.
yeah.
You brought up some good points, and the poll says, "Do you find it challenging during the holiday season to maintain weight, emotional or psychological? Yes or no, or never considered it." So if you would be so kind, just answer the poll because again, it just kind of helps us to understand these things as we have these conversations. Sorry to interrupt, sir. The floor is yours.
No, you didn't interrupt at all, man. It was a good stopping point for me because I was ready to get into this first question of the night. You know what I'm saying? So that was excellent timing. So again, like I said, we were talking about the fitness, the physical part of this, and or the mental aspect of this. So probably along with the line of your question that you just posted, how does your mindset going into the holiday season impact your fitness and wellness goals?
I think first and foremost, this is a great question. And you know me, I believe mindset is everything. I think mindset is the beginning and the end of everything. It's the thing that starts the process for whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. And I think it's also the thing that gives you that final oomph to get you over the finish line. So going into the holiday season, like, some people may have fitness goals, some people may have, some personal or professional development goals, things of that nature. But you know what? The holiday season kind of allows us to relax and be in the comfort of family. And, you're being around certain things that you kind of grew up accustomed to that you may have adjusted in your life, since then. So it's easy to kind of fall back into those habits that you created years ago. So the question has to become, have you created the necessary boundaries around the mindset that you've established for yourself for the goals that you currently have or not? That's where I will first start off. So again, the mindset is the foundation of it, and therefore from that foundation, how are you guarding everything within it? um, the personal interactions is kind of one of the big pieces that kind of allowed us to, or kind of give us to permission to go back into that old mindset. Hanging out with Big Mama, hanging out with Papa, my long lost cousin or my best cousin, my siblings, things of that nature. It's fun. It's exciting. Catching up with each other. We might have to throw a couple of them back. You know how we do. throw a couple of them back, throw one too many back, whatever that look like. You ain't got to go no place. Don't worry about it. You can sleep right there on the couch. I got a spare bedroom back there. You good. So it's
Yeah.
like it is a very comfortable environment because you're around family and friends and things of that nature. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that, and I don't want to get too far ahead. I'm just saying that these things are present in the midst of the current mindset that you potentially have. Now, let's exacerbate the problem. What if I'm struggling with creating that mindset that I need for the fitness and wellness goal that I actually need? So now, when I go around the family and friends during the holiday season, it kind of gives me more permission. And I hate to use this term because it's kind of a churchy term, but it makes me backslide that much faster. My level of resiliency for maintaining what I created is not necessarily there. It's not established, and it's definitely not something that I'm going to hold firm to in the midst of these different things that can be adverse to what I want to do. Long-winded response, but that's what I got.
No, I get it, man. And I think that I would be doing a disservice by adding anything extra to that. So I'm going to kind of stay right here, but kind of pivot a little bit. And the way I'm pivoting to is, you know, the the space where this question and this topic came from. It's December, and a lot of times in January, people start setting goals for what they're going to accomplish in the next year. So next year is 2025. So people are going to start setting goals. And just to plug a couple of shows, in a couple of weeks we're going to have a show about New Year's goals, and then in January we're going to have a show about what to do when you fall behind on your goals. So just be on the lookout for those coming up in the future. Coach got some shows going on too, but I just want to specifically say those because those have to do with what we're talking about tonight. To say and to go back to is, excuse me, it came from everybody wants, a lot of people are going to start setting goals in January, but I don't think that people really think about their mindset going into the holiday season. It was something I never really thought about before, but it was like, okay, well, maybe I can kind of get a jump start or head start on the new year if I start practicing a certain mindset or a certain discipline earlier. So then I start thinking, well, maybe it'd be a good idea to do a show about, the mindset going into the holiday season, you know what I mean? Or staying fit, you know what I mean, during the holiday season. Because I think that, we just going in, a lot of times people just going in and saying, you know what, it's the end of the year. I'm gonna go do what I want to do. I'm gonna overindulge, whatever, because I know that I'm gonna start in January. But what happens a lot of times is you end up developing a habit, sometimes a negative habit during the holiday season because you have time off, because it's cold, because you become more inactive. People stay indoors a lot more, different things like that. So what happens is you start creating a habit of staying in and not doing anything, and then that affects your mindset going into holiday season to where you're overindulging. So that's kind of where I wanted to park right there, and then to see if you just had anything else you wanted to talk about when it comes to the mindset going into the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these relationships, these like lifelong relationships, catching up and things of that nature, we tend to get in the conversation like, hey, what's going on? What's new? Right. And so then we share certain things, and the things that we share is probably the most impressive thing that we believe we have going on in our life. But why not share the goals that we've established so that these people, if they, and I don't, and I'm not talking negative about anybody, but if they mean me well, they can kind of help me protect the mindset that I came into the environment with during this particular time. So I think that's the key. I like the fact that I think it was Nick D that mentioned that during the holiday, she says she tends to take in too many simple carbs and decrease the regularity of exercise around the holidays. And that's kind of like a trend of what actually happens because of being around the family members, because of the schedule that we have going to see this person, especially if you're from out of town. I don't know what it is. If you come from out of town, everybody expects you to come see them. In my mind, wouldn't it be better for everybody to come to one location? I mean, I'm just saying. But that's the scheduling that I'm talking about. Going to this person's house, going to this person's house, going to this person's house, and all of these great things. It's not that it's a bad thing, right? It's just that, there's not enough time in a day to go see everybody that wants me to come and see them. So all of these things factor in. And so I love the fact that you brought that to the table. I love the fact that Nick D mentioned what she said. Looks like Michelle Ray mentioned that she struggled with her weight throughout the year. And so naturally I develop a sense of guilt. So I'm mindful, yes, about the food intake. So all of these things factor in. And if we know these things beforehand, I think it's important for us to set the conditions going into the holiday season as well. Probably should have started back in Thanksgiving, prior to
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, but it's never too late.
Well, I'm a pivot again. I guess to where the word of the night is going to be pivot. And I'm okay with that if you are. So you mentioned going someone coming from out of town, and instead of everybody coming to that person, you end up going here, there, and there. So that is something as a former military person that I had to deal with most of my career. You know, in my previous marriage, we were from the same hometown, so our parents were there. We had siblings there. We had cousins, aunts, and uncles. We had a lot of family there. So when we came in, we would pretty much stay at one location, but people wouldn't always come. And we're talking about wellness too, staying fit and well. And a lot of times this is around the holiday season because a lot of times we have block leave scheduled during Christmas time. We get to go home during Christmas, spend time with family, different things like that. Well, everybody want to see us, but we can't go see everybody, and that can be stressful, trying to accommodate everybody, because everybody want to see the grandkids, everybody want to see the nieces and nephews and different things like that. But I don't when I was young, I never really looked at myself and see how it was affecting me or how it was affecting, anybody else in the family. They were tired, ripping and running, sometimes going and hang out with people that they didn't really know or didn't really like, or it wasn't necessarily a kid friendly home. You know what I'm saying? But we're just trying to accommodate everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I know that during the holidays, this is something that happens on a regular basis. A lot of people had to do it, just last month around Thanksgiving, and it's going to continue to happen over into Christmas. So, what do you think about that?
I agree. I
Mhm.
experienced the exact same thing. Imagine imagine driving from Texas. This kind of remind me of the conversation we had, talking about your pathway to marathon, where you
Mhm.
were stationed in Colorado and had to drive back and forth to Virginia. Um,
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
stationed in Texas for a better part of 12 years. So in between, like I think I averaged based upon my deployment schedule, I probably averaged coming back to the East Coast like once every other year, which is ideally like a 22-hour-ish drive.
Mhm.
So never done in one day. Drive to a certain point, probably like Alabama, spend the night, wake up, and bring it on in. And you're on the road for a very long time. And then when you
Mhm.
get stationary, it's like in your mind, I'm here. But then it's like, okay, we got to go over here. 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 And sometimes that can be taxing. You got to realize, especially, and remember, we're talking the holiday season, right? Well, when you're on the road for that extended period of time, you don't have the opportunity to eat your best. I know that everybody's talking about cakes and pies and cookies and all that other great stuff during the holidays, but McDonald's, Zaxby's, and all that other stuff that kind of compounds that as well. So imagine doing that on the road, going to a destination just to receive the cakes, the pies, and the cookies and all that other great stuff. Then having to turn around and do that going back. And of course, they're going to give you food to carry back, but it got to be put in the ice chest, and you're not going to eat it cold, so you're not going to eat that until you get back to your location. So it's like all of those things tend to stockpile and add up. So it's like your meal plan, whatever your meal plan used to be prior to that, is going out the window. Sure, you can kind of pack up some juices and things of that nature, but 22 hour trip, man, them juices are done after about 8, 9 hours on the road. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Sure, we got coolers and ice and all that stuff, but at a certain point, like on the trip coming back, you got to stop by the store and refill and all that, and so forth and so on. But in between, the cakes, the pies, the cookies, the macaroni, the collard green, all those other stuff, and then of course it's Christmas Day. So Christmas Day, nobody's in a rush to go no place until they are. Then once they get in a rush, then everybody's in a rush. So it's like it can become you kind of get pulled in several different directions, and that does not work as well. What people don't realize that all of this kind of weighs on your psyche. You know, it is a stress, an emotional drain, a psychological drain to travel that distance. And I'm not going to factor in if you're taking an airplane flight someplace. Now you got to deal with the stress of going through TSA, dealing with the crowd, all this other great stuff, bags. Some
Hmm.
people's bags get lost, so it's a lot. It can be a lot. And so, you know, I know we're going to get into this. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but the psychological, emotional, and the physical strain of the things that you do as far as traveling, then people want you to come see them. I just drove 22 hours. Can you drive
Yeah.
25 minutes? So it's
Yeah.
like all of that stuff factors in.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It could be strenuous. It could be a pain in the butt. Um, it can be expensive. You know, that's your time. Like that's all you have. You know, I wish, I won't say I wish, but it's something sometimes to just think about if I would have had this mindset at that age. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I do.
It's fun to think about sometimes, we all say life happens for a reason, and I agree with that, and we go through things for a reason, but I think it's sometimes nice, at least for me, to kind of explore, what I mean, what could have been, or what, maybe not necessarily what could have been, but maybe how things would have been different. You know what I'm saying? And I can guarantee I know some things that would have been different. But on back to the topic of tonight's show. So a lot of us, like I say, we're gonna be hanging out with people, and you know what we like to do? We like to get our grub on, you know, and something about Americans is that we going to eat. And it's like almost every social function is involved or have something to do with food. So, hey man, let's get together, man. Hey, let's go get something to eat. A lot of times on first dates, where they going? They going to movie and a dinner, or dinner and a movie, or something like that. So wake up in the morning, first thing we do is eat. A lot of us do, some people don't. But a lot of our existence and social life is involved around food, and that can be harder on some than others. So, how can you navigate social situations where indulgence is encouraged while still prioritizing your health? Because you already know, especially if you're a little thin thing, you can go to Big Mama's house, and Big Mama gonna say, "Hey, you need to put some meat on them bones." They encourage you to eat. They gonna encourage you to eat all that banana pudding and all that 12-layer cake and everything else. And I don't know if you eat sweet potato or pumpkin pie.
It's all
I
about the
don't want to
pumpkin.
get canceled, so I don't want to throw both of them out there.
It's all about the pumpkin for me. Is there a
Pumpkin,
12 layer cake? Man, that's crazy.
yeah,
Um,
I don't like it.
oh, you don't? Okay.
It's too much because it's the cake is so thin. You put
mm,
the chocolate on there, it gets like kind of soggy kind of fast.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
no.
I don't really fool with soggy cake. It's got ice cream in it, but
To this question, how can you navigate social situations where indulgence is encouraged while still prioritizing your health? I think we just did. Thanksgiving is definitely one of those situations where indulgence is encouraged. I think the right thing to do is, I kind of touched on it previously. What we have to do is identify the priorities that we actually have as it pertains to our psychological, emotional, and physical health. Once we identify those priorities, then we establish boundaries around those things. There's nothing wrong with eating, but I should not have a plate with food leaking off the side. That's a bad habit to have. And I know you've seen it, man. right? You know, you got people that make plates and they put it on what do you call those things? It's a thing that goes up under the plate. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I
The
can't say it.
trays.
No, it has another name for it though.
Oh.
But anyway, and you put it on top of it, and it's like food sometimes spills onto that because you got too
Mhm.
much packed on the plate. Like that's that's too much. I just said that's too much. Like give me a portion. Like I'm a
Mhm.
taster. I like to taste the food, right? I don't need too much of it. If I want more, I'll go back and get it. But don't fix the plate to where it's like, my goodness, it seems like you've been in the not a placemat. Seems like you've been in the mountains for like the last 7 months, and you just came home for the first time. No, that's just too much. So what we got to do is we got to establish boundaries around those things that we prioritize. If my weight for me, and I would say it like this, um, I will go to the extreme, like diabetes and those things of that nature. When those things happen, then they become priorities. When they become priorities, then you practice pushaways, like, no, I can't eat that. No. But in reality, we should be practicing those things first before we get to the extreme, before we get to the sickness, before we get to the disease phase, whatever the case may be. Establish boundaries around those things that you deem as important. Once you establish those boundaries, then behave accordingly. Like, yeah, I got it. Whoever was talking about cake pies and cookies and all that other great stuff. But if I know something runs in my family, sure, I may have one, but I'm not going to get all three of them, right? Give me a little bit. Just put it like the dude on TikTok. Just put a little something on my plate. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do all that because at the end of the day, I understand what the possibilities of all that look like. Especially if I live a sedentary life, I don't actually exercise. I don't actually do those things. So all of those things come into account. Establish priorities around the goals that you have before the holiday season, and then establish boundaries around those priorities so that you can behave accordingly.
Man, somebody put it in the chat and they were talking about potlucks, bro. So we're gonna pivot. We're gonna get off topic real quick. What are your thoughts on potlucks? Like, do you eat at potlucks? You like, I don't eat at potlucks. I only eat stuff from the store. Like, what is your take on the office potlucks? In chat, please feel free to chime in because I want to know what they got to say too.
He putting me out there, y'all. I'm
Oh, I'll
no,
believe me, I'll answer it.
I don't like potlucks. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
Um, I have a thing, right? Um, and I'm just being transparent. I have a thing. Like I appreciate you offering me the food. I appreciate everybody spending time to cook it. But I'll probably eat me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the car before I'm just
Mhm.
being honest. And it's no
Mhm.
disrespect. It's just a thing within me. It's like I go back to my upbringing. And I'm not going to blame it on my upbringing because I had plenty of time to change that. But at the end of the day, I'm still sticking to it. I don't necessarily do potlucks. I appreciate the food being cooked. I socialize, but I don't really want to eat. Now, there have been times in the past where, like, if I know who cooked what, then I eat that
Mhm.
thing because I know that person, right? But then the other side of me is like, well, what if somebody come in the office and say, hey, you got to try my this? And I'm like, no, because you come to work with cat hair on you, stuff like that. And I hate to say it that way and sound, I don't want nobody to think I'm bougie because I promise you I'm not. It's just I'm very particular about what I eat. And I can't do it. I can't do it.
All right, so let me say this, and I'm just gonna say black folk, right? I don't know how many black folk that I know say I do not eat at potlucks, right? 9 out of 10 potlucks that I have been invited to were headed by black folk. So I don't get it. So do black folk eat at potlucks or do they not? And for me, here's my answer. I'm pretty much like you. Every once in a while, if I know somebody cooks something and I kind of trust them, and I trust them, I mean by this. When they come to work, they don't never have dog hair and cat hair all on their clothes and stuff like this. Like if you're one of those people who always have dog and cat hair on your clothes, I'm not eating anything that you cook. Nothing. Not your green bean casserole. Not your potato salad with the raisins. I'm not eating anything from anybody who consistently comes to work with dog hair and cat hair on their clothes. I think I gotta probably know you I gotta work with you for at least a year too. And I gotta know a little bit more about you, you know. But if it's something that's bought, I'll eat it. But I genuinely generally do not eat food from potlucks. I eat pretty much a home cooked lunch every day for lunch. So I'll be having my lunch. Now I may go get me some grapes or something like that. You know, maybe some fruit. But it all depends on if it was store bought or who prepared it.
Can I tell on myself?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell on myself out in the open. Y'all don't judge me. I'm just saying. There have been times where I was at a potluck and I said I can't stay, and they said, "Oh, we'll make your plate to go." And so they'll put my food in the styrofoam plate, they'd give it to me, and I would take it. And I said, "Thank you so much," and I would leave, and I'm serious. I would toss it.
Absolutely.
Listen, man, I think, and I've been that way. I've always been that way.
I won't take the plate no more.
I'll take the plate.
I don't, not no more.
I was raised in the South, right? So Southern hospitality, it's like, it's a bad thing to turn down Big Mama food, right? Especially if you just give me a little something. So I'm gonna take the plate and I'm, just toss it. But here's the thing that makes it even worse right now. TikTok videos make it even worse because I know they do it out of jest, but it's like they're getting ready to make something and they have the raw meat sitting on the counter and a cat on the counter licking the raw meat. Mm-hmm. And then they flashed over and now they're cooking it. And I'm like, that just made it even worse for the potluck crew because I can't even participate now. I'm just not at this point now. I'm not even going to take the plate because I done seen, and I know it wasn't you, but I seen somebody had the cat licking the meat, and next thing you know, they're frying the meat up and giving it to their husband.
You seen one too many video.
Seen one too many video. Now I'm in the kitchen looking.
I seen the cat licking some banana pudding yesterday on TikTok.
Can't do it.
I was like, yeah, I can't do it, man. But back to the show, navigating social situations, man. Them potluck dinners and those potluck lunches and stuff like that people have at lunch there. I've seen people that overindulge there. I think that, I understand you want to eat and all of that stuff, but I just say do it within reason. Like Coach was saying, like you got your plate piling over and different stuff like that, and it's dripping all over the place, and you taking 2 or 3 plates home and stuff like that. You starting to overindulge, and I think some of it just being greedy too. But where's the line between being greedy and this is free? So I wondered that too. I get it, but I'm just like, man, these people greedy as I don't know what, man. It's like, but I don't know, man.
I think I shocked my mother this year for Thanksgiving because I didn't need a lot. And she's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." So it's just, again, going back to that point, like create those boundaries around your goals and stick to it. It'll be there. I promise. They made enough food for you to go back and get seconds like 6 hours later, but just don't try to eat it all at one time. Oh, one more point. That plate I was talking about that goes up under the plate is called a charger.
A charger?
Yes.
I don't even know what that looks like.
It's just like a decorative plate. It's not something for you to eat off of, right?
Well, what is it made out of?
It can be made out of like some type of plastic or whatever. But
it's made out of like wicker or anything, like wood?
It can be, yeah. But it literally, its whole purpose is simply to hold the plate just in case the plate is hot.
Oh, okay. A charger. I never knew that. Learn something new every day, folks. That's why you should like and subscribe right now.
That's what I'm talking about. We talk about all kind of things.
Absolutely, man. We 30 minutes into this show, man. So if you haven't already, again, like, share, subscribe, all those different things. Share this video with someone who may benefit from it. Holidays can be emotionally charged. We talked about that. We started talking about that. What role does emotional eating play, and how can we combat it during the holidays? I'm going to start by saying that this is something that this question wasn't necessarily for me. This is something that I don't have much experience with, other than talking points, other than what I've read in books, going through school and different things like that. Um, but I've often heard of people who emotionally eat, so and I know that it's something that is real for a lot of people. We have a huge obesity problem in this country, and so I know it's something that people deal with, and I've heard it so many different times. But like I said, I don't have any personal experience with this that I know of. But I am interested in hearing what you have to say, and especially the chat. But I do want to add to it probably after you get done with it. But I'll read the question again. I'll let you have it. Holidays can be emotionally charged. What role does emotional eating play? Excuse me. And how can we combat it during the holidays?
This is a tricky one. For those of you who's been with us for a very long time, um, if you go back and look at, it was an episode of um, The Hearts of Men on a Friday night, and I talked about seasonal affective depression. Um, and it happens based upon a change in the season where it's less sunlight, all of that other great stuff, right? And some people just go into a state of depression. Their body naturally go into a depressive state. They become, less sociable. They tend to sleep a lot, and they eat a lot during that particular period of time as well, just simply because of the depression that they're going through. Or the adverse of it is that they don't eat at all, or they eat very minimal. Um, Either or is not good. Either version of the spectrum is not good. Either extreme. So I think it's important for us to look out for family members who may be suffering from that. Like look at the change in the character, the change in the mood, and all of those things. And again, if you don't know what it is, just look it up, Google it. That way you'll get familiar with it. That way you'll know, like say for example, your family members are suffering from it. Again, seasonal affective disorder. Um, that's one thing. Another thing is the nostalgic feeling of being in during the holiday season, where you reminisce on being a kid and what it was like to wake up, every morning leading up to Christmas and all of that great stuff. How you would watch Christmas movies and you'll sit around and eat, cakes and cookies and all in a circle, or if that's what your family dynamics were. Leading up to the breakfast on Christmas morning, and then you have Christmas dinner, so forth and so on. And in remembering those things, you may attempt to relive it because your brain triggers during that time of year. That's why this time of year everybody feels good, simply because they have that remembrance of what Christmas looks like, or at least what it's supposed to look like. I'm 50 years old and I ain't never seen a white Christmas day in my life. I'm just throwing that out there. But those things exist. Some people who are raised in the North or raised certain areas of the country, they see a white Christmas every year, and it just kind of
Yeah.
puts them in that festive mode. Well, that festive mode is also accompanied by the smell of pumpkin. I love the smell of pumpkin. I got pumpkin candles all throughout my house. I was looking for the Glade pumpkin plugins. They ain't got them. I couldn't find them. So those things tend to set the mood, and the mood tends to set the conditions for what you want to shove in your face. So we have to be conscious of those things. And the worst, well, not the worst. I think the worst is sad, seasonal affective disorder. But another version that people may experience, and this is situational, to where you tend to lose relationships like right before the holiday season. And so you lose relationships right before the holiday season. That could lead in emotional eating as well. And again, being around family members, emotional eating, and now people are like, oh my God, I'm sorry you're feeling this way. And now they're kind of stroking the emotion instead of trying to pull you out of it. So all of these things are a facet that we have to look at. So when it comes down to the role itself, well, we have to realize that your emotions, in a lot of cases, because we don't handle emotions right, the emotions set the conditions for you to do a thing. When your emotions set the conditions for you to do a thing, it pulls you away from the boundary that you set around the priorities that you established beforehand. So, what we have to do is put the emotions in its right perspective, analyze the emotions, ask yourself a question about why you're feeling the way that you feel, see if it lines up with your priority, readjust what you're feeling, or not necessarily what you're feeling, but readjust what you're going to do based upon that emotion, and then do that in the direction of your priorities.
In the beginning, when in the my first talking point, I started talking about, the other side of the holidays, people not necessarily feeling okay mentally because they may have lost someone, or for whatever reason, like you talked about, sad, a bunch of different things. So, holidays can be emotionally charged. So um, I want to talk a little bit about, some of the things that people go through during the holidays, and kind of, I guess I want to just start talking about just some of the things that people go through during the holidays, and then kind of see where we go from there. I did want to, I started off by saying, a death in the family, and this being the first holiday season without that person. So, um, you got anything else that you can kind of think of that people kind of go through around this time?
No, no, no,
That's
no,
very
no.
emotional.
No, I like where you're going. I just kind of want to chime in on that point once you're done.
Yeah, I'm done. I just wanted you to. I just kind of just wanted to, yeah, kind of
Yeah,
see what, kind of what things we could kind of pull out that
yeah,
you kind of be emotionally charged, that kind of can affect people mentally during the holiday season.
yeah. This is, I think that point right there is a hot one, and here's why.
Mhm.
Because, and I am fortunate to have not had to go through that, but I do realize that, you know, time is not going in reverse. So there will be a day, I believe, to where that's going to be a thing. For people who've lost loved ones, mother, father, child, whatever, it is so easy to go through these milestones in a year, birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, things like that, and fall into a depressive state because all you're thinking about is the memories that you have with that person during that time of year. Um, and I think for the loved ones who have people who've been through that or are going through that, I think it's important to not let those people be alone during these particular benchmarks, especially the first year, the second year, maybe even as far as the third year, because there is no set time for mourning a loved one. Well, that person may be doing fine, you know, doing certain aspects when it's not a milestone event. But when that milestone event comes up, it is important for us to reach out to that person, for us to connect with that person or maintain that connection with that person, and then close the gap between you and that person so that you can be in that person's presence. That person may go through bouts of depression that may looks like they don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to be around anybody. They sit alone in the house looking at photo albums and things of that nature. They may go out and buy that person's favorite food during that particular time of year because it reminds them of that person. So it is a very significant and realistic situation that people go through. And I think it is important for everybody to become empathetic of these people during these particular point in time because we've been in the army. I'll say it that way. So we have a level of resiliency that most people view as being non-emotional or emotionally unavailable, whatever that looks like, because things don't necessarily affect us the way it does everybody else. But what I would tell you is that just because it doesn't affect us from your perspective of how it affects everybody else, that does not mean it doesn't affect us. I think people like us are probably worse because we're not going to tell you when we're hurting. We're just going to deal with it because we know no one can fix it. So I'm throwing that on the table as well, because just because it looks a particular type of way does not necessarily mean that it is that way. So it is, man, I can talk about this from now until the end of time, but I know we got other things that we need to cover. But I think this is that serious and that important for those people who lost a loved one and they're encountering their first season without them, second or even third for the most. Like, it's important for us to reach out to them, connect with them, go by and see them and spend time with them and make sure that they're okay.
What just happened was exactly what I wanted, but I didn't know it. There was a problem, and then there was a talk through and a solution. So I appreciate you. And while you were talking, I thought of one too. And what sucks is I got an onion over here. So that's what sucks about it. So, like Coach said, we're used to being in the military. So we're used to, being away and different things like that. So my 19-year-old son is currently deployed. So this will be his first time, being away from home for the holiday season. So the first time I was away, I was telling Shell it was 2000 and I think it was 2005, and I was in Kuwait, but I got to celebrate it. My cousin was stationed in Kuwait, so we got to spend Christmas together that year, which was really cool. But then I came back in '06, left again in '07, so I spent '07 Christmas and '08 Christmas in Iraq. So for those 2 years, I was away from my family. But again, I was a lot older then. I had used to being away. It wasn't as much of a big deal, and then, it wasn't like we had cell phones like the way we have them today. We had, Skype on some AOL type stuff, I think back then. I don't even remember, it was so long ago. So I just, I want to reach out, or not reach out, but just kind of talk to people to real quick about, if you have somebody that is lonely. They don't necessarily have to be deployed, but someone who is by themselves, someone who is, going to spend the holidays alone. Like Coach said about the other stuff, reach out to them, check on them, see if they're okay. With these two talking points that we just talked about, man, I think that I need to make a list, in a mental note, and start writing, a list of people that I may want to contact and get it, and reach out to during this holiday season, So, it's some people out there that, this might be their first year, being single. They may have been married for a long time and now they're by themselves. So just reaching out to the people out there who are lonely. This is I don't know, man. Just loneliness can be a real thing. And having experienced that, being in the military and just different things like that. It's a real feeling, and it's nothing like getting a card from somebody or getting a phone call or a text. I'm telling you, when you're deployed, when you're away, getting a freaking card is freaking golden. Some of y'all, I'm gonna be real. Some of y'all won't even spend $1 on a card to send nobody. Even people in your own family that you say you love. Sometimes that's all people get. Sometimes people give, 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 and give, and they don't get much in return. So sending somebody a card does wonders, and you can buy a whole stack of them off Amazon or anywhere else. You can buy a stack of 100 for $7 or something. It ain't expensive. Buy you some stamps. Reach out to somebody. I guarantee you, a simple card will do wonder for somebody. So a lot of people out there lonely. A lot of time, like Coach was saying, people out there by themselves for the first time without some loved ones. So, what else you got to add to this, man?
How'd you know I had something to add, man? No, because you're right, I did. Um, I will go a step further.
Mm.
so it's a big difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yep.
I want to say that part again. It's a big difference between being alone and being
Yeah.
lonely. That person defines what that is for them in their life. Just because a person is alone doesn't necessarily mean that they're lonely. So you got to know the person. Now, let me change the dynamics of it. Just because you're in the presence of somebody does not necessarily mean that you're not lonely. So I said all that to say the person doesn't necessarily have to be by themselves or they don't necessarily have to be away, right? Just think of people in general. Reach out to people. Like, who are the people who have been most influential in your life over the past year? Who are the people that you have the closest connections with? All of those great things. I think what Uncle just said is awesome. Like, take the time to reach out and, send a card or send something just saying, Merry Christmas. I appreciate the connection. I appreciate all that you do, so forth and so on. Now, that does not exclude the people who are deployed. That doesn't exclude the people who have, dealt with loss of a loved one over the past year. Those people are included, right? But don't just stop there. Consider the rest of the population as well. Like, who else? Because, like you said, you never know what impact you have on another person's life just by reaching out to them. Even if it's just a simple phone call, say, "Hey, man, I just wanted to call and check on you and see how you're doing. You fell on my mind today, and I just wanted to check on you, bro." Like, that goes a long way.
Yep.
You just don't really know what's going on in another person's life. So here's the thing I would practice, and this is probably my final thought. If a person falls on your mind, do not hesitate. Pick up the phone and call them.
Mm. That's powerful, man. Honestly, I'm glad you said that because that's something that um I have learned to do more. I always do it? No. But when I started listening to that voice that said reach out to coach, it always has been a um, positive connection. It was always on time. When someone said, "Hey, reach out to your cousin Alicia," and I just call her or text her, she said, "Hey, Junior, what you doing?" You know what I'm saying? So that's real. I think that we all could do more of that. If you haven't experienced it, if you don't do it, do it. And if you are at a point in your life where you're starting to listen to that voice, like keep listening. I'm at the point to where I hear it sometimes, but I don't always do. But again, like I said, every time I do is proven to be invaluable. Mm.
Yeah, I
I'm
like
glad you
that.
said that.
No, you good, man. I like that. But let's not forget the older generation as well, our parents. I
Mm.
think a lot of times we get so caught up in life, we forget about them. Like, I got chastised. It was a sneaky chastisement too, bro. Like, me and
Mhm.
my mother, we got a standing appointment every Saturday morning. Like,
Mhm.
every Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, we're gonna be on the phone. SOP has been that way for years now. Um, and one day she said, "Okay, talk to you next Saturday." And I was like, "Ooh, that was a shot in the dark." She was smooth with it though, and I didn't say anything about it. But then she hit me with it again. I said, "Okay, got it." And I started doing better. I kind of backslid a little bit more. But her point was, without saying it, because my mother is very strategic. Without saying it, what she was saying is that I want to talk to you more than just on Saturday mornings. Like, you got a whole week that happens in between. So, why can't we talk periodically leading up to that point? So, again, the same word that I just gave out was the same word for me as well. And that's why I love talking about the word, because the word is the double edged sword. So, we can do better collectively with just reaching out to loved ones. And again, this is not our topic of this conversation because that's part of the psychological and emotional fitness, right? It's not just your fitness, it's what you're doing for other people to help them out. You never know, a person may not necessarily be feeling their best because of some of the things that we talked about previously. And you call them, "What you doing?" "Oh, I'm just laying in the bed." "It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What you doing in the bed?" "Well, I ain't had no reason to get up." "All right. Well, now you got them on the phone, and next thing you know, they get a little energy and motivation just simply because you thought enough of them to make a phone call. So I want to put that out there as well.
Man, I want to add too. My father died in 2018. But before that joker rolled up out of here, he taught me a couple of good things. And one of the things that he taught me, and it was a hard pill to swallow. And he was like, if you want the relationship, then you put forth the effort. And that was so hard because I don't know if Charlotte Jordan, my mom, in here tonight or not, but I used to go round and round in my head about her. I wanted to have a certain type of relationship with her. I wanted us to be closer. You know what I mean? I was like, why she ain't call me? You know what I'm saying? I ain't throwing under the bus, but I am a little bit. Me and her, we didn't already talk this out. That's why she be in here, watching the show and stuff. But you know, we used to I used to want more. And my dad told me that if I want the relationship, then I have to continue to put forth the effort, even though it may not feel like it, or even though I may not want to. He was like, if you want to talk to the person, then pick up the phone and call and talk to them. Don't expect for them to call and talk to you. And that was hard for me, and honestly, sometimes I still do struggle with that. Not with her, but just with other relationships and stuff like that I have with people. I think sometimes that, if I want to have a relationship with Coach, that I shouldn't be the only one who's always calling him. If sometimes at some point he should call and check on me to see how I'm doing, But if I want a relationship with Coach, then that means I have to be willing to be the only person putting forth the effort. Now, I do believe that there is a such thing as a cutoff point at the same time, but that's another conversation for another day. So I'll just reach out. We'll just get on this last talking point unless you had something else on this. All right, so this goes back to, I understand, having an accountability partner. You know what I mean? I think they can be a good thing. And I know you probably going to talk about, maybe you need to have the right accountability partner. But with that being said, how can having a holiday accountability partner or group make staying fit and well easier?
It's just like with anything else. Wait, let me back up. First and foremost, before I get started, wherever you are, go ahead and hit the like button. Again, if you have not answered the post or the poll on YouTube, go ahead and answer it. Right now, we're getting close to the numbers, and I announce what those numbers are in the end. Not names, just the numbers, the percentages. So go ahead and make sure that you do the poll. Make sure that you hit the like button, and make sure that you share. Greetings, Chris. Good to see you, brother. So to your question, how can having an accountability partner or group make staying fit and well easier? I think it's just like with anything else. Regardless of what version of growth looks like, whatever version of growth you're in, an accountability partner it kind of makes things easier. It's like sometimes you're in a position to where you got to do a thing, but then because you know that your accountability partner going to ask you certain questions, it's like, okay, let me do it so that when Garfield asks me, I can say, yes, I did it. You know what I'm saying? And then let me get them stats. Well, I kind of give them the stats now. So if we know that we're going to do that for one another, then we're more inclined to do a thing. It kind of goes back to the old notion that you got to inspect what you expect, right? So the accountability partner becomes the inspector of the thing that I said I was going to do. But to your point, the right accountability partner is key, because sometimes I am choosing an accountability partner to hold me accountable of a thing that they themselves are not accountable for. So I think that's important as well. I kind of goes back to what I was talking about when, we kind of meet back up with our family members, nostalgia, all that other great stuff. Well, some people in my family, I'm not going to choose to be an accountability partner for certain things. I'm just going to keep it real, because at the end of the day, I have no evidence that I've seen in their life that they can actually do the thing that I am working on right now. That's not a bad thing. That's just an objective thing. Okay. But my accountability partner does not necessarily have to be in the same environment that I'm in, because we got these things called cell phones, we got social media, and we can do periodic checks on one another. I can literally take a picture of the plate that I'm about to eat and send it to my accountability partner. And they'll be like, all right, bro, we said too much carbs. I see rice, I see macaroni, and I see potato salad. That's a lot of carbs that you finna eat. So it's like, yes, it's too much. So it's like those people can kind of keep us accountable, because again, nostalgia is a thing. And this is generally what we tend to eat, because I want a little bit of this, I want a little bit of that, and I want a little bit of this. Too much. Do it in moderation, and your accountability partner is great for helping you to do that. But again, make sure that you and your accountability partner are on the same glide path, because if they're not, then what is the metric to hold you accountable for the thing that I myself is not accountable for? What's the probability of me even remembering to say, hey, you do them 50 push-ups today? Oh, well, see, what had happened was, you know what I'm saying? So that's always the beginning of a bad response, just so that you know.
Yeah. I like all that, man. I also like another side of that, and I'm gonna speak to another side of it. And it is what it is. I understand having an accountability partner, and I think having the right one is a great thing. I think for most people, they can't find or they don't have that person. So that means you got to get it for yourself. At the end of the day, you can't depend on anybody. I don't know how many accountability partners I've had in my lifetime. Umpteen thousand. Yep, that's a number. Umpteen thousand. It's after 1 million and 300, I think. Um, but so I had to learn and develop myself and develop my mind to a point to where I can't depend on anybody else. You know, I can't depend on Shell to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. If I make her my accountability partner, then what happens when she forgets to set her alarm? What happens when she goes on vacation and she goes home? You know, so I like accountability partners for certain things, but I also think that sometimes people can be too reliant on an accountability partner and to try to take um not necessarily the pressure off themselves, but to take the what's the word I'm looking for? Own maybe responsibility off of themselves, maybe kind of to give themselves a pass. You know, if I tell coach, hey coach, wake me up in the morning, call me at 5 a.m. and tell me to get up and go run, right? And then coach don't call me at 5 a.m. and then now I'm upset at coach because he didn't wake me up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, first of all, they'll be the bad accountability partner right there too, because he didn't wake me up. See, it's his fault. But that's what people do. They blame the accountability partner, but to take the onus off of themselves, to take the
Correct.
accountability off of themselves.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like your account, like it's an accountability partner for a reason, not the responsibility partner, right?
Yes.
So that's the key. Also, I like the example you use. Coach called me and wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, why would
Yeah.
he choose me to do that? Because he know generally at 4:30 I'm getting up. Now,
Yeah.
here's the deal, Coach. I need you to hold me accountable for making this run in the morning. Coach may not be the person to do that because Coach ain't going to run it, but
Yeah.
I can do it just simply because of the relationship. And at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it from a metric standpoint, not necessarily going out there and comparing numbers. Because when you say, Coach, how far did you run? How long did it take me from the bed to the coffee pot? That's as far as I ran, right? Because just somebody got that. That's all right. So that's
Yeah.
my thing. But the whole example that you gave was great because I wake up early. Therefore, I would
Mhm.
be a great accountability partner for him for ensuring that he wakes up early, not a responsibility partner. So when I send him the text, I'm saying, "Hey, bro, you up?" That's me. That's he know that at some point he gonna hear from me like prior to 5 o'clock, not at 5 o'clock, prior to 5 o'clock. Hey, you up? Yeah, I'm getting up right now. Okay, cool. That's what accountability is. Not necessarily me calling, hey, this is your wake up call. That's a responsibility partner. You don't own responsibility of somebody else's life. So I think that's important, especially when we start talking about these workout things. Now, what I
Mhm.
heard you say, and I think I've seen somebody else, I think Brother Chris said as well, that you guys are your own accountability partner when it comes down to certain aspects. But what if somebody is looking to do those things, i.e., get up early in the morning, train like a maniac, like Chris said, hit the highway and run like you do, or so forth and so on? What if they're just beginning in that thing? Do they need an accountability partner, or do you think they can adopt that same mindset that you guys have?
Um, I think they can adopt that mindset, but I think probably initially for those people, it probably would be best for them to have an accountability person. And I'm just going to go out there on a limb and say you probably should be paying for it. And because when you pay, you when you pay, you pay attention. You know what I mean? When you pay somebody $800 or $400 a session, You know what I'm saying? So I think that, yes, I think that when people are starting off, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting help, because if you are, let's say you're 40 years old, if you haven't figured it out yet, maybe doing it on your own is not the best, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going to get help. We go get help for every single thing. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with paying to going to get an expert to let us know how we can be a better version of ourselves. Nothing wrong with that. So I think, yes, I think that they should go out there initially if they don't have the mindset, and then maybe while they're going through that training, or while they've paid that trainer, they have a good person that can possibly help them with some of the mindset that comes along with it, because that's part of the process too. Losing weight and staying fit and healthy is starts up here.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I think the reason why they need an accountability partner in the beginning. And
Hmm.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think if you have not yet done the thing and you have not committed the thing to a natural part of your life, you can attempt to do it on your own, but I think what you're going to realize is that you're going to disappoint yourself in the process because it has not become a part of your subconscious. It had not been worked into your daily routine. So you're going to do it, but you'll do it to a certain degree. Then you'll make excuses. Then you're going to backslide. Then you're going to talk yourself out of it and all of that great stuff. So, to your point, it's necessary to have someone to be your accountability partner for you so that they can hold you accountable to the thing that you say that you're going to do. Now, to his point, and I'm glad he said what he said, because the best investment that you'll ever make is in yourself. So, when you invest in yourself, it's like a commitment, right? It's like say, hey man, can you come and work out with me in the gym? Like, sure, I can do that, but then there's no commitment there. But when you invest in that person, say, hey, I need you to be my personal trainer, right? So now that's different because in the midst of doing that, what ends up happening is that the payment becomes a commitment to that person so that they know that number one, you're not going to waste their time. And number two, you're surely not going to waste your time because now you're invested. And that's the difference between asking somebody to do something for you and actually soliciting their services. So I'm glad you said what you said because all of those things become important. We will pay a person for a thing, and that thing like amounts to something, but you have zero return on it. But then the thing that you should pay for is the thing you don't necessarily want to pay for. And then at the end of the day, that's the thing that can give you the largest return that you'll ever see. So I'm glad you said what you said. So great point.
Yeah, and I also want to backtrack real quick and just to clarify, I'm not anti accountability partner. I am pro have a plan B for once and if the accountability partner is not there, or you need to change it out for someone else. So again, I think having an accountability partner is great. I think that's one of the best things you can have. I have always liked when I've had a good accountability partner. It's kind of like you ain't in it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Someone else is in it with you. They understand exactly what you're going through, especially when it comes to like something like fitness, or losing weight, or getting a degree or something like that. You know what I mean? Like when you have somebody in there, somebody you can rely on, that's a great feeling. So I am all for accountability partners. Just want to say that sometimes they got to be adjusted, or maybe we've outgrown them. Maybe they're no longer, um maybe they've already served their purpose, and that's okay too. So nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody graduates, and that's
Hmm.
important to recognize.
Man, it's time to wrap up, man. Sheesh, we didn't even get to all the questions, but that's okay.
I don't think we
um
ever do sometimes.
huh,
I
yeah.
don't think we ever do sometimes.
Yeah, I think let's do this. Let's do two true false and then wrap it up. You
Okay.
okay with that?
Yep.
All right,
Before
chat.
before we get started, make sure
Okay.
everybody answers the poll question. I want to make sure that we get some good numbers to put out there so everybody can hear it.
Yeah.
Again, just percentages, not names. So gotcha.
And also, again, if you ever want to reach out to us, and have a show topic or something like that, we're all ears. We're always welcome. Again, we're here on Tuesday evenings to serve, to give back, to have the conversation. So if you ever want to be like, hey, you know what I mean, you guys maybe talk about this, we will definitely take it in consideration. So all right,
555 Unc J.
there you go. Oh man, here we go. All right, so here we
False.
go. Keep them quick. There you go. False. Staying active during the holiday requires a strict workout regime.
All right, come on, chat. Hurry up. I got an answer.
Yeah, hurry up, chat. We gotta go.
The pressure's on. Hit a key, hit enter. That's all you gotta do. Hit a key, hit
hit a key. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. D already said false.
Come on,
we'll get one more, then we'll go.
All right. The answer is definitely false.
False all day. What else? What else I got over here? Here we go. Oh, here we go. It's a good one. True or false? Staying fit during the holiday requires sacrificing social enjoyment.
All right, come on, chat. Got an answer. Come on, chat. Hit a key, hit enter.
Now we're talking about mental and physical.
Got one answer.
We got two.
Got two answers. Let me see if I can get a third one. I got a third one already. Man, y'all guys
already got three.
Okay. Staying fit during the holidays requires sacrificing social enjoyment. No, false. I can do both at the same time.
There you go, folks. All right, Coach, before I wrap us up, man, do you have anything else that you want to share with the chat, with anybody who may be watching? You want to plug anything, man, where we're going to be on Friday nights or anything like that? Feel free to do so, and then I'm going to wrap us up, and we're going to get all of y'all here for the night.
I do. First and foremost, like you said, Friday nights, the Hearts of Men, 8 p.m. I think we've been having some great conversations. Again, continue to come on out, continue to support, continue to really Crystal, continue to add information to the message board for totalmindsetshift.com. Again, that is a place for us to positively uplift one another. So let's make sure that we're doing that. Again, third Saturday, Hearts of Women, fourth Saturday, reframing the image of relationships. Sunday is TikTok Live. And then 2 p.m. on Sundays is Bible study. If you have not been if you have not yet participated in Bible study, I think you're missing out on a great deal, because I think we're having some phenomenal conversations on there. And then the best part about it, they get a recording of the Bible study so they can go back and listen to it over and over and over again. So great. All the stuff is happening is great. I want to end the poll now because it looks like everybody who answered is going to answer. And that being said, it should post the information, or did it? So what it looked like was 55% of the people said yes. 14% of the people said no, and 14% of the people had never even given it consideration. So again, want to make sure that we talk about those numbers, because it really kind of helped people to understand. For those of you who missed it, the question was, do you find it challenging during the holiday season to maintain your current state of being? And we're talking about weight control, we're talking about emotional, and we're talking about psychological. Again, 55, 14, and 14. So that is a very interesting spread. So I just kind of want to land right there.
They said that's not what they see.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I see something different too.
Yeah, so the last, somebody else answered. So it's 55, 33, and 11. So 55 said yes, 33 said no, and 11 said never considered it.
Okay. Thanks for clearing it up. Hey, man, it's been another good show. And for the chat or anybody watching, please go out and check out the Hearts of Women podcast. Like, we've had a couple of really good shows on there with the men and the women and stuff like that. So it's been really cool and really interesting over there, hanging out with those ladies. So again, like you said, that's the third Saturday of the month, right, Coach? Yep. All right. With that said, folks, we appreciate y'all being here. Thank y'all for staying with us this extra couple of minutes. Again, we really appreciate. We hope to see you guys back again next Tuesday for another episode of Coach's Corner. But until then, see y'all Friday night and all those other good things. And again, we are out. Peace out.